Hey, I used to worry about sleeping alone at night till I found the Opiate Volume 8, which keeps me warmer than any man has. And I think after you see the reading that follows this little introduction, you're going to feel some warmth yourself down there. You're going to want to buy a copy. You're going to want to go on your little computer and click on the exceeding long link to my Shopify store to buy a fucking copy of the last literary magazine in existence. In print, at least. And also, P.S., I always fuck up somebody's reading in terms of filming. The camera goes out, or yeah, that's really it. I'm not going to blame it on drunkenness, because even a drunk person can film things. But no, my camera battery died, and I couldn't film the one person I wanted to because she drove all the way from West Virginia, and that was Haley Folio, so I'm really sorry, and I owe you a drink the next time I make you drive here. Bye. Good night.
So I had it turned into a bracelet.
Let's begin. I just want to speak to the constant irony of having readings here, because I really hate California, and everyone loves it more than New York. And I would like to start with John M. Keller, my ex-roommate and beloved friend, who also happens to be a writer, and he'll be reading from local people. If you travel a lot, you'll find something in it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I'm like in it.
Alright. Can I adjust that? Or does it adjust?
I don't know.
I'm gonna paste it.
Do it like your face doing.
This is from a short story called Local People, and it's 6 or 7 different vignettes about travel, all of which have to do in some way about immigrating as well. How did I immigrate here? I was on an airplane. Even though I had explicitly reserved a seat in the aisle, I was directed to a window. I spoke to the flight attendant, but there was apparently nothing they could do. There was nearly a moment in which I had managed to switch with a family so that they could all sit together, earning myself an aisle seat. But at the last moment, a woman showed up and claimed it. She probably needed it nearly as much as I did, but not as much as I did. The flight took off, calling little attention to itself, and before long, the window at my left inherited a splendid view of the clouds, which looked like floating, freshly sheared wool, somehow defiant of gravity, but otherwise locked in a single, non-floating row. The flight attendant came asking if we wanted any beverages. Of course, I declined. I was given someone else's low-cal meal, which I ate dispiritedly, unhappy about the quantity of fruit, and about an hour into the flight, I already had to use the bathroom. I apologized to the 2 seated, sleeping individuals at right and made my way down the aisle to the bathroom. Upon my return, I apologized again and slid down into my seat, waving at them in thanks. This is when things began to go awry. Not 5 minutes later, I already was beginning to feel the urge again, but having just gone, there was nothing I could do. My mind traveled back to the moment when I had booked the ticket and ensured that I had selected my seat, and then the phone call I made several weeks later to confirm this. This had happened once before on a shorter flight and was nearly as uncomfortable a prospect then, and in my youth I'd once survived a 2-hour bus drive from one town of chicken pens to another, in which there wasn't even a bathroom aboard. But this was a 12-hour flight. I tell myself not to think about it, that my urge to go to the bathroom was an invention of the mind, that it wasn't possible I already needed to go, and just moments before I'd relieve myself. I pictured the small bathroom compartment, its sink and different dispensers, the flush button which accomplished an uncomfortably loud noise, and then me standing there as a free man in what was like my own temporary hotel room in the air. Why hadn't I stayed there longer, waiting to see whether I had really finished going or not? I couldn't understand myself. I tried to focus on something else and made it 2 hours before waking the pair next to me. "I'm really sorry," I said. I meant it. They said there was no problem. This time I lingered. After leaving the cabin, I spent another 2 minutes at the back of the plane on the grounds of wanting to stretch my legs to avoid blood clots. I imagined conversations to this effect, in which I would be quickly excused for what was in fact rather sensible rationale. But no one asked. An hour passed in which I slept not at all, but thankfully also in one in which I didn't have the urge to go to the bathroom. I declined all offered beverage service. I was thirsty. I began to feel rather trapped, pushed up against the left side of the plane, every time needing permission by two strangers to leave my row. The lights had been turned off. There was still conversation trickling up and down the aisles, but the airplane began to sleep as if obedient to the tacit directive inherent in switching the lights off. I began to nod off and fell asleep. I was awakened by an uncomfortable feeling in my bladder. What was this? At home, I used the toilet no more than 4 or 5 times a day. I consumed massive quantities of fluid and was a healthy individual. My neighbor's now catatonically hibernating, the jaw of one having fallen into his shirt, the other a little girl shifting her position every few minutes but clearly no longer among us the awake. I told myself that I would endure. Neither had gone to the bathroom the entire flight, but soon they would have to. I told myself that I would make a point of going when one of them did, thus only having to inform the other that I was simply taking advantage of
The shack, the way it was all falling down and weather beaten to hell. Out back, behind the diner, were the cats I told you about a million times. A whole city of cats, living inside abandoned cars and curled up in old tires. There were hundreds of them, a city of cats. It was when we were looking at the cats out back that I started to think we were being followed. I had seen it back in South Carolina when we visited the graves of O. Henry and Thomas Wolfe.
How do we live in such darkness? We huddle and scuttle and glide and hide. We gather to make light. We prepare to fight fiercely, training with sharpened bones in hand. Again the move to disembowel, again the move to paralyze, again the move to instantly kill. It comes in turn and turnabout. Epochal nights follow generation days. What has grown withers without care. Celebration turned to lethargy and waste. But now we must hunt through the night's watches, keep our seeds dry, and tell our children stories of the dawn.
We're gonna recommence with a Bodega man fetishist named Sarah Francois. Thank you, Sarah.
I'm trying to use this soft and sexy phone sex voice. We'll see how it goes. Loving Bodega men. I can never love a man like you, whose highest ambition is small business co-owned. I could never love a man like you, whose beard itches, who scratches, makes his face red with bumps. I could never love a man like you, who can't remember the price for my same daily order. I could never love such a man. On summer days, I fall in love with the Bodega all over again. It's a place of mass activity. There are tons of sugary confections for sale that only seem appropriate to purchase in the summer, so you can walk it off. And then there's also ice cream. There's sticks of food coloring and ice that you can see to purchase in bulk for children. There are Italian ices. There are tubs of Haagen-Dazs. There are Oreo bars. I favor the Oreos and the Haagen-Dazs. I worship at the chocolate altar and genuflect before the cashier. That moment when I take the first bite is called church. On summer days, I fall in love with the Bodega all over again. The sun shines. Women who are scantily dressed make my heart beat quicker in my chest. The Dominican hair salon next door is rife with Dominicans in booty shorts. I live for the moments when they come into the Bodega. I can sit on the stoop and watch them across the street. They never notice my perving. They expect the stares from the men, but they are shocked when they catch me looking. On summer days, I fall in love with the Bodega all over again. They sell ethnic products. There's Jamaican colas, there's Haitian bread. My grandmother always wants me to bring her back something. I choose wisely. I go down every aisle. Sometimes it's bread, sometimes it's a calendar, sometimes it's a can of fruit, sometimes it's lotion, just a token to show her that I thought of her when I was at the store. On summer days, I still fall in love with the Bodega all over. My brother jokes that I'm probably funding the war in the Middle East or something by buying from them. He doesn't understand there are no other corner stores like this one. They sell the same products, but they don't have the Bodega men. Trying to make you laugh at the jokes they repeat that they heard in Haitian Creole. They speak words that they don't even know what they mean just to get you to laugh in your native tongue. He doesn't know that I can get a $20 Metro card for $19 instead of $21. He doesn't know that I just love the way he looks at me. The middle brother stares at me like I'm Cleopatra or something. You cannot understand this Bodega love. It is disorganized. Much less about the Bodega man, more about the headphones, the cans, the new discoveries that lurk, the people that lurk. You can't understand love for the aisles of cans of life disorganized for $7 headphones. And of course, the Bodega man. He's my Bodega man. Behind the Sunny D, I lurk every week when I purchase headphones. Bodega love, disorganized, shelved with tuna cans. Corn on the cob cans. My Bodega man is disheveled, disorganized, his hairs lurk. Professors love with discount headphones. And then there's the $20 headphones. And beer cans. This multilingual love spoken by the Bodega man. In my mind, disorganized. I am disorganized. Ears blocked with headphones, fingers that lurk across cans. There is yelling from the Bodega man. My Bodega love, his heart disorganized. The key is in the cans. With the headphones, I look on at my Bodega man. My heart beats, or maybe it lurks, for my Bodega love. Great. Spring is great for Bodega loitering. People come to play the numbers. Women are in skirts that blow up with the wind, and children are running between the too close for comfort shelves. Bananas are rotting unnoticed. Deformed tomatoes sit peacefully on the shelf. Air is thick with cigarette smoke and the smell of black and mild. The bodega always stays open, real late. Winter is horrible for bodega shopping. It's conveniently located, but every time I enter, I'm afraid something is gonna break if I move slightly the wrong way with my bulky coat. I can tell the bodega man is displeased with me because he tried to sell me $30 headphones. The inventory is pretty much the same. There are containers, and there's that all ready to be made mac and cheese. There are cans of tuna. None of the fancy stuff like Kaboom or green cleaning spray. Just 409 and fantastic. We like our chemical cleaners here. I used to order turkey, bacon, eggs, and cheese every day. I proceeded to eat right outside the store like usual. A Haitian lady turned around and called me overweight in Creole, and I looked at her incredulous. Can't she see that this is my bubble coat? At least the bodega men don't think I'm overweight. The middle one practically shouts for my attention every time I enter. Do you think he screams at everyone? No, it's just our thing. It's like I'm fed. Nothing. I know what you want. You know I order the same thing every day. Cochon. Speak languages you know, man. Salop. He continues to curse me out in my native tongue. I do not join in. I wonder if he knows what he's saying. It's a middle school game we're playing. He insults me in multiple languages. And
Second time to Opiate. The first time I did some poems, which were mostly about death and how love is despair. And this is about children who hate each other, so you know, everything's getting much more optimistic. And this is called So jung kommen wir zusammen. Excuse me. So jung kommen wir nicht mehr zusammen, which is a German idiom, which basically means we'll never meet again as is young. Or we're so young and we'll never meet again. Either way, it works. And it goes like this. At the outset, I had no reason to dislike Johannes in particular. Like most small children, he was boorish and selfish and frequently sticky or wet or both. He had the repugnance of an animal without the nobility of beasts, but in a manner that would have been entirely unremarkable for a child had it not been for the sweets. Every day at the kindergarten, Frau Gushold tended on the frontiers of the Black Forest. Johannes would appear before us laden with sweets, which he consumed in full view of the other viciously hungry and envious children. Even as a 6-year-old, I knew this ostentatious display of wealth was no marvel. The father of Johannes owned vast estates from which he extracted rent and influence. I'm sorry, English is not easy for me. But once Johannes had exhausted his apparent supply of bonbons for the day, he would be found moments later with yet more. How? Was Frau Gushold giving them to him? Had he worked out a pact with the other students in which they would act as his sugar mules? Or was there perhaps small caches of chocolate bits hidden strategically throughout Frau Gushold's humble cottage and the surrounding?
I'm gonna foolishly try to follow that, because I'm not gonna do an accent. That was lovely. This is exactly what I keep asking you back to read. You're just a star entertainer. I'm trying to find my story, sorry. Everyone had paper, you know? It's so, retro. Retro is chic. Any minute, it's coming up. Okay. I just wrote this a few days ago. It's inspired by La Dolce Vita. I have a tattoo of it. It's my favorite movie probably besides Sunset Boulevard. It's called, this is for you mother lovers out there. It's called Your Cloying Maternal Love. It took Mina a long time to come to the conclusion that Fellini had long ago taught her with La Dolce Vita. Men want a bitch, someone to keep them on their toes. They don't want your cloying maternal love with all its suffocating proclivities. And while sure, some of them might exhibit behavior that indicates they want a woman who can cook and therefore take care of them, it's not really true. By the way, I write a lot about men, but I don't really know much about them. It's all speculative. Anywho. They want the challenge of earning love and affection that stems from demeanment and aloofness. Mina had apprehended this after too many relationships she endured as the obsequious little fool, hoping against hope that if she bent over backwards just far enough, it would work to her advantage, and the object of her desire might give even the slightest of damns. However, after enough breakups carried out by the other party, she decided it was time to take a new approach. She would act indifferent, immune to niceties. And the person she set her sights on trying it on was Ferdinando, a 30-something web designer who lived in Brera, an area of Milan she could only dream of affording. She met him where so many modern women do nowadays, at a bar, but a coffee bar. As she looked over at him while sipping from her espresso, she found that he was already looking back at her. And it was thus that they struck up a conversation, she occasionally brushing aside her dark brown hair and he flashing his recently whitened teeth. Soon they were bonding over their abhorrence over the opening of the Starbucks in the already overrun with tourist Duomo vicinity, with Ferdinando seething, "Italians will let anyone in for a fast euro." Mina agreed, but was careful not to be too effusive. She'd made this mistake so many times in the past, and knew by now that emotional expression of any kind could be dangerous. Off-putting, so she batted her lashes subtly and sipped disinterestedly from her espresso, thereby securing Ferdinando's enthusiasm and asking for her number. When he called her roughly 5 days later, she rebuffed his first offer of meeting him for dinner the following evening, lying that she had already made plans with a friend. It was as such that she started out their relationship with the upper hand. At dinner that Saturday, Ferdinando was all attentiveness and romantic quips, which Mina took with a grain of salt. She did not let him accompany her back to her apartment, and not just because her Bovisa neighborhood was far less impressive. In lieu of this, she told him she wasn't ready to share her bed, giving him instead a Cinecittà-worthy kiss. to placate him until the next time, which was 2 days later when Ferdinando simply showed up to her house with a bouquet of flowers. Mina suddenly started to wonder why she hadn't performed this method of allurement before. It seemed so easy. That is, until a few months in their courtship passed and she desperately wanted nothing more than to act like herself, which apparently meant being emotionally unconstrained, by male standards at least. It was about 5 months in that she started to let herself go, touching his face gently in public or trying to hold his hand. At first he acted as though it didn't bother him, that he was perfectly receptive to the notion of these sudden love bursts. Gradually, however, he started to snub these shows of passion and desire, sidestepping her caresses here and dodging her kisses there. After enough of these rejections, Mina at last said something to him one night while staying over in Bodega. "Have you stopped being attracted to me, Ferdinando?" He rolled his eyes as he clicked away at a project for his work on the computer. "No, Mina, it's nothing like that." Like that, she thought to herself? Then what was it like? She had to know. She rose from her curled position on the couch and walked over to where he was sitting at his desk. She put her arms around his neck and let her hair fall on his face. He sighed and brushed it aside. "Mina, I've got to finish this tonight, understand? Please don't distract me." She continued to rub his shoulders. "Let me give you a massage while you work." She heard herself say this and knew it was deplorable, knew that the more she tried to please, the less he would be impressed or moved by her. But she couldn't stop. Something inside of her had to win him over, or she felt like she might have a panic attack. As she massaged his shoulders, he shrugged her off in irritation. "I think you need to leave, okay? I can't do this right now." Everybody comes to Hollywood. They want to make it in the neighborhood.
So many just like opportunities to hate on California publicly in front of an audience.
So good.
This woman hates it. Yeah, it's so sick.
You're next to me. Right now. Oh yeah. In Hollywood. Woo!
Wow.
In the air in Hollywood. The sun is shining like you know it would. You're riding in your car in Hollywood. You got the top down and it feels so good. Everybody comes to Hollywood. You wanna make it in the neighborhood. Like the sun of it in Hollywood. How could it hurt you when you look so good? You're like, wow. I got a million ways to ride it good. There's something in the air in Hollywood. I tried to leave it, but I never could. You're like, wow. It's time to stop doing it good. Doing it right now, oh yeah. It's going Hollywood. Let's see Hollywood. Something in the air in Hollywood.
I'm not pressured. Are those actually the lyrics? I don't even know what she's singing. I can't imagine a top 40 song saying I hate California that many times. In case it wasn't made clear earlier, I do hate California. I mean, so like, hate is